Welcome to a 1v1 on Colony Farmers Summer. This game is going to be extra super special because it is, of course, an Operation Charlie Fox Contributor Cast. Brought to you by me. Thanks to the oh-so-generous donations of Romeo, we're going to cast this game on his behalf. Thanks, Romeo. Riflemen moving to take control of the south. We are going to see Simon versus Arzuna 86. U.S. Forces versus Oberkommando West. And of course, U.S. Forces is my favorite faction, so how very fitting. Simon, also known as Aimstrong, is going to be going with Rifle Company. This will actually be the first time I've seen Rifle Company this patch, with the changes to the flamethrower. And the changes to the way the EZA works. This will actually be an interesting game. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out, and Arzuna has access to breakthrough, scavenge, and Luftwaffe ground forces.
Squad, get ready!
So we're going to see a 2 Volksgrenadier and Kugelwagen opening. Kind of a late Kugelwagen, interesting decision. Usually people go Kugelwagen first, so I'm just going to have a slightly shorter window of opportunity where it's useful. Nice engagement there by Arzuna with the Stern Pioneers. Catches those riflemen at point blank range and forces that early retreat, in addition to heavy damage and bleed right there. That's going to not only weaken Simon in this engagement, but in future engagements, because without healing on that squad, they are going to really struggle to engage cost effectively, and the Stern Pioneers barely even took a scratch in return. That engagement probably could not have gone much better, and Volksgrenadiers are moving to harass the cutoff here in the south, while vetted riflemen plus rear echelon troops try and work on the fuel point here in the north. This is a tactic that we've seen Simon utilize in the past. I've cast him a couple days ago. He did something very similar where he tends to focus a lot of his attentions on the fuel point, fuel harassment, but he leaves his cutoff a little bit vulnerable, so we're seeing some similar things here. No tech yet from Arzuna 86, who has sent his SWS straight to the center, but is not, doesn't seem to be sending that to tech up yet. He's got a little bit of fuel banked, so he needs to start thinking about doing that soon. He's got his 3 Volksgrenadier Corps out, in addition to the Kugelwagen. Putting pressure on the vetted riflemen here. In green cover, they won't really be able to safely reposition until some sort of support arrives, or the Kugelwagen is simply forced to back off after taking a little bit of light damage. Volksgrenadiers jumping into the building to put pressure on those riflemen as well. Rear echelon troops moving to circle around from the right. The cutoff is going to be restored to Simon's control. As riflemen make their way to take control of this point back.
Our riflemen will now be better trained for deployment.
Grenade tossed right there. Stern Pioneers still at very high level of HP. That early grenade, by the way, a pre 5-minute grenade, can tend to catch people off guard, but for the second time that I've commented on that, it was still dodged very well by Arzuna. He was perfectly ready for that early grenade tech. Did not get caught by surprise in the least. But Simon will continue to have access to those. He's just going to want to think carefully about how much munitions he spends on them. That's 30 down the drain already, and if he spams them too hard... Whoa! 39 viewer hosts by Red Wings. Thank you, Red Wings, for the support. Much appreciated. This will be the first time Red Wings has hosted me in weeks where I was actually playing the same game. Just makes so much sense. Well, I'm not playing KOTU, you know. Oh, that grenade! Oh, I thought that was perfect. I thought that was a wipe for sure. No way. I thought that was going to be a miracle grenade. Apparently not. Stern Pioneers do take 2 losses, but they will stick around. They're available for repairs, and they're available to continue engaging against these riflemen. Smoke deployed on the Kugelwagen, but it looks like those riflemen will probably be forced to retreat regardless. Wanted to maybe try and pressure those Stern Pios into a retreat, but even with just 2 men and a tiny bit of HP remaining, they're unloading enough DPS to take that engagement. The riflemen cannot afford to stick around. We're going to see after 4 riflemen an ambulance fielded. But clearly Simon is struggling here in this game. He's gonna have to find some way to turn his situation around. Not holding the north fuel and not holding this cutoff is very problematic.
A capture point is being overrun.
But to be fair, Arzuna doesn't have that much fuel either. Generally, it's argued that Overcommand OS excels in a low fuel environment. If they have low fuel but their opponent also has low fuel, then they can do good work on just their manpower-based solutions because they don't need any fuel to get out their AT. They don't need that much fuel to get out their first big-ticket item like the flak half-track, which is going to hit the field now. And they have a lot of nice manpower-based elite infantry such as Fallschirmjäger, Jaeger Light Infantry, Panzer Fusiliers, and so on and so forth. But no doctrine selection yet by Arzuna. Ooh, that's a dangerous situation for those riflemen to be in. They are suppressed. They are going to have to retreat through a flak half-track. They have no choice. Smoke is being deployed, but it doesn't matter. Not even close to getting to safety, and that is the first wipe of the game. The flak half-track picks up that squad easily. Meanwhile, on the right side, riflemen, Scaroffs, and Volksgrenadiers continue to put pressure on this fuel point. The cutoff in south fuel has been restored into Simon's control, but the loss of a full squad of riflemen is really going to hurt, especially now that Jaeger Light Infantry are going to start hitting the field. Grenade toss to pressure them from the building. There they go. And the building will be secured by the riflemen, so they are successful in stealing that building from Arzuna, but the Kugelwagen is on its way. Sturm Pioneers are on their way. The flak half-track will continue to sit and defend in the middle, however. Riflemen take up a position inside of the church to protect it from being garrisoned by this Rakettenwerfer, I guess. But eventually these riflemen cannot continue to stick around and they will be forced to retreat off the battlefield. Simon's fuel situation not looking great. He has gotten a captain out and is transitioning into an AT gun to help him against the flak half-track. But it's going to be some time before he can get out a tank. He may choose to go Stuart, but if he does, we're probably looking at a 20-minute Sherman or later. Grenade assault into the church. Late reaction by Simon. Oh, didn't react at all.
We just lost a unit.
That grenade assault wipes another rifle squad, and things are not looking good for Simon. He is going to have to do something amazing to turn this game around because he is in a dangerous situation, having lost 2 full squads. If he doesn't pick up a priority target, like, for example, the flak half-track, maybe wipe the Sturm Pioneers or Kubel or something, I'm not sure how he's going to recover control of this game. The cutoff is going to fall into Arzuna's control once again, and the north victory point is being taken by these units. Sturm Pioneers with Kugelwagen support should be able to defend against lone squad harassment pretty easily.
Target that infantry. Get into march. Protect the flank. Target secure.
Uh-oh. Oh, a bit of a late reaction. Almost. Flak half-track does get pushed away. Nice flank by those riflemen taking the engine out right there on the flak half-track. And there's main gun destroyed. That lucky crit frag grenade to try and finish it off. May not even be necessary. Small arms fire could get the job done. He just needs a few more lucky shots. Oh, he's getting bled hard by Jaeger Light Infantry at point-blank range. It's just not happening. Oh, he could not seal the deal and he was forced to retreat. Oh, that was just tragic. So close, but Sturm Pioneers are available back here to get that flak half-track repaired. Captain looks like he wants to try and pull off a sneaky flank. May prove difficult, though. Squad leaves the building to get some repairs from the ambulance right here. Rear echelon troops are going to try and get control of the cutoff back, which they should be able to do easily enough. Captain gets pushed. Ooh, wow, what happened right there? Oh, booby trap on the point almost wipes the squad. Nice booby trap. I wish I hadn't missed it, but at least the squad gets away alive. Unfortunately, they do drop the bazooka right there. Meanwhile, here on the cutoff, Jaeger Light Infantry move up to push away those rear echelon troops, but they should be able to get the point recaptured, and the Jaeger Lights are just going to pull back to a slightly safer position. And it looks like that series of engagements put enough pressure on Arzuna that Simon's going to have a little bit of wriggle room to try and take back control of this game. And if he wanted a Stuart, he could go with that option, but he may just want to save up for tanks. Like I said before, his fuel situation's been rough this game. Even if he skips Stuart, honestly, his tanks are going to be late. So something to think about. If he did go Stuart, maybe he could turn the fuel situation around in a dramatic way. If he picked up that flak half-track, maybe wiped a squad of infantry or something, got both fuel points under his control briefly, maybe he could bounce back a little bit. If he doesn't do something dramatic like that, This game may prove difficult, but it looks like rather than Stewart, we're just going to see Flamethrower Rifleman try to overwhelm his opponent with heavily armed infantry. Stern Pioneers set up an ambush right here. We'll probably have to retreat, but the Kuba Wagon does suppress these riflemen. Flak half-track fully repaired moves up to assist in this engagement. The AT gun is slightly out of range to be able to support right there. Rear echelon troops must retreat away from some Volks Grenadiers here on the left side. Flak half-track pins down these riflemen, but the AT gun is moving up to pressure it into at least disengaging, if not picking it up entirely. It's not going to hit a Vet 1 during this engagement, so it won't get that sneaky range boost. Stern Pioneers make an overly aggressive maneuver right there, almost getting wiped. A bazooka snipe could finish off this squad. Captain doesn't seem to be interested in firing though, so okay. Oh, and he only does have one bazooka also. So the squad gets away right there. Grenade into the building, bit of a late reaction, but not that much damage. The building will not be destroyed, and the Jaeger Lights continue to hold the line against the captain. Kuba Wagon moving up aggressively with a flanking squad of Volks Grenadiers right here. We are going to see the AT gun forced to reposition way back to safety, so the Kuba Wagon and Flag half-track will be pretty safe to engage if they choose to do so. Rakedenwerfer doing some backcapping here in the south, with Volks Grenadiers doing the same, is going to start putting pressure on Simon's territories in the south. Another overextension there, late reaction, but Volks Grenadiers will get to safety. Simon recovers his AT gun, and with an ambulance nearby for reinforcement, it's not too serious a situation. Also, Simon has had control of this point for almost the entire game, which isn't giving him any resources, but is a significant dent in Arzuna's income, so that's something to keep in mind, despite the frequent cutoff maneuvers right here. I guess I'm not 100% sure who's really in the lead anymore. PopCap is pretty even with Simon being behind, understandably, because those two early wipes. Black half-track getting really aggressive right here. I don't know if that's a good idea. Smoke being deployed to help that AT gun get back to safety. Two squads of Jaeger Light Infantry charging it. We'll probably be able to wipe it, but with this huge blob moving up on the right side, that Flag half-track may be in serious danger. AT gun does get wiped, but the Jaeger Light Infantry have to retreat when they overextend themselves. Here comes an attack by the captain. He jumps into the building to put pressure on the Flak half-track with a bazooka. Does light damage, but it's not enough to scare it off completely, and it will set back up to continue engaging. One squad of riflemen will retreat after falling a little bit low. A second bazooka shot does connect, and the Flag half-track has no choice but to pull back. AT gun hits the Kuba Wagon, and it falls dangerously low. But they are both going to get out of the engagement safely, and Simon will simply move to retake some territory in the south, I think. AT gun gets cleared by these Volks Grenadiers on the flank. Grenade assault going in will be dodged easily enough, I think. And they'll be forced to retreat. More infantry moving up on the flank. This flamethrower doesn't want to retreat unless it absolutely has to. Flamethrowers will no longer pop unless they're equipped by the last member of the squad, so letting a flamethrower stick around down to the last man is a dangerous thing to do now. Whereas just even having a flamethrower was a dangerous thing to do in the past, now you can actually have some measure of control over when that thing explodes.
Alright, you dopes, listen up.
But for the first time in several minutes, we're actually going to see a bit of a ceasefire. Light probing here in the middle, obviously going to get shut down by the Flak half-track, so that's going to get shut down. There's that retreat. Still no major out for Simon. But his fuel situation is certainly a lot better now than it was in the early game, up to almost 200 fuel. He drops it on a major in progress. So no Stewart this game as he continues making his way towards either a Sherman or possibly an Easy 8, and that'll be the first time I'm going to see the post-patch Easy 8, so that could be interesting as well. Stern Pioneers chase away those riflemen. Couple squads making their way towards the north to retake these munitions and victory point.
Target secure. Enemy is alerted to our presence. Prepare for counter-strike.
Still more of a ceasefire than anything, though. Possibly because Simon's not sure where to attack or not sure how much to dedicate to an attack. He will send these two squads towards the north, maybe trying to pull his opponent's light vehicles out of the center. Jaeger Lights have to sprint to safety away from that flamethrower. We'll start retaking control of this victory point. Speaking of victory points, neither player has really done much in terms of clock control. Still 400 points at least for both players. They're really dead even, and the clock's not really ticking in anybody's favor, which I guess theoretically is a good thing for the Over Commando West, having the stronger late game. But it takes quite a while to get to the late game now. Shermans take a long time to hit the field. And obviously the King Tiger's not even close being fielded. There's Tier 4 being built though. So we might be looking at an attempt at King Tiger, would be my guess. Flag half-track straight to King Tiger's always been a fun and popular Over Commando West build. Looks like that build is alive and well this patch. Still has a lot of fuel to go before that's going to be a possibility though, and with only 17 coming in, it's still a good distance, good ways away.
Jaeger, listen up.
Plenty of time for the Easy 8 to hit the field and have a dramatic impact before that King Tiger does arrive. These three squads working on the south, trying to get those resources ticking in Simon's favor, but the north will pretty much completely fall into Over Commando West control. Light probing by rear echelon troops for the center will actually get a good look at the center area for shoe mines with that minesweeper, and you'll basically see that there are no mines anywhere in that area. Don't think there are any mines anywhere at all. Don't think that Arzuna has been spending his munitions on anything like that. As far as his munitions expenditures, we've seen Panzer Shrek, we've seen booby traps, we've seen grenade assaults, but no mines anywhere. His munitions count is not that high, so that's understandable. There's the Major on the field, setting up a retreat point by this ambulance. Simon has good control over the south. It looks like Arzuna has ceased attacking the south. He's just going to be happy with the territory he does have under his control and switch into playing defensively. Since this is the phase of the game, he needs to be worried about strong U.S. counter-harassment in the form of light or medium tanks. The Easy 8 is probably one of the least scary counter-harassment units U.S. forces has, but it still gets the job done pretty well. So this is going to be the tool Simon uses to try and get the game back under his control, and I think there's an extremely good chance of the flak half-track being destroyed here as it goes in hard. Captain baits the trap. I think Arzuna might have maybe even heard it coming. No, he needs to get clear of an AT gun. The timing on this push maybe not perfect, and that Easy 8's going to pull back. That's kind of a bit of a misplay. It's actually going to fall dangerously low here, I think. No, Rakettenwerfer could not get off one more shot, but it ate up a lot of damage right there and was not able to find an opportunity against the flak half-track. The AT gun actually scared it off. So he probably shouldn't. He probably should have just let the Easy 8 do it completely with a deep flank rather than trying to go in at the same time as that AT gun, because the timing was just a little off and he didn't quite get it right. Clumping of these troops is too tempting, and he will go for the grenade, but the engagement's being monitored. Grenade will be dodged. Obersoldaten plus Sturm Pioneers bring that squad dangerously low and over red cover. They almost get wiped. They will get to safety. Not sure I'm going to be able to say the same thing against this squad of riflemen, though. Retreating across red cover away from Sturm Pioneers and Obersoldaten. That is going to be a wipe for sure. Maybe. Yes. Okay. There they go. Medical supplies being dropped here as well, but he's not finding an opportunity to heal between engagements. His riflemen keep popping up, and the Easy 8 is going to try and take this engagement. Goes for an aggressive crush maneuver right there, and both squads have no choice but to retreat. And actually, these riflemen will probably steal that medical supply box. But at least the other one kicks in a little bit and heals those overs on retreat, so that's some good healing either way. Riflemen deny access to that last healing box, and over here in the north, Captain actually with his Thompson comes close to wiping these Jaeger Light infantry. They will be forced to retreat as well. And there he goes. Despite some serious errors in the early game by Simon, he is somehow managing to take this game back under his control. Of course, the question remains, will he be able to handle the late game over Commando West, which is probably going to be a King Tiger. We're going to see a second squad of Obersoldaten hitting the field. That's going to be very difficult to deal with as well. The Captain falling low. What? Oh my god, did you see that? Panzerschreck snipe immediately followed up by a bazooka snipe, and the captain gets wiped. Oh, that was a terrible dose of RNG for Simon right there, but to be fair, that was probably a late retreat anyway. But, ouch, that's a shame. Captain will go down right there. Of all the things Simon could have lost, Captain is probably the least expensive. It's not the end of the world. Recon pass being called in by the Major here in the middle. We'll spot a Raketenwerfer plus Volksgrenadiers defending right there. We'll also get vision of Stern Pioneers and Ogres moving up, and the plane gets... Oh my goodness, please, game! Did something just get wiped? Yes! Yes, a squad of Volksgrenadiers just got completely wiped by that plane crash. Good thing they nerfed planes. Man, this game is totally esports ready now. For fuck's sake, Relic, please. Alright, well, I guess it cancels out. They both lost a squad to total bullshit this game, so alright. Way late retreat on those Stern Pioneers, and the flamethrower annihilates them. Ogres will be forced to retreat. God, there's so many wipes. I can't even handle this. Everything is dying on both sides. Riflemen and Stern Pioneers traded. How many wipes have there been this game? 2 Volksgrenadiers and Stern Pioneers wiped. That's 3 wipes for the Oberkommando West, and then 9? Really? 9 units wiped for the U.S. forces? Is this real? Well, 3 of which have been recruit AT guns, but the captain wiped, 2 riflemen wiped, and the rear echelons wiped. Alright, it's not as bad as it looks. Ambulance will need to pull back to safety. This Easy 8 falling a little bit low also needs to pull back to safety. And the cutoff is going to be compromised a little bit here as the Easy 8 pulls back for repairs. Flak half-track working on the north was not able to do much in the face of that AT gun. And we're actually going to see a late King Tiger because we are, for the first time on my stream anyway, going to see that Tier 4 Panzer IV. So this should be interesting. It's been buffed to now be basically the same as the Oster Panzer IV. It's 135 fuel though, which is pretty expensive, isn't it? Wow. 10 more than the Oster Panzer IV, despite the Oberkommando West resource penalty. Of course, it's less expensive to get to Tier 4 in the first place. That will definitely mean that a King Tiger is not going to happen for a very long time, and he probably feels that his fuel situation is not able to support a decision to go KT. But Simon, for his part, also not doing amazing for fuel, but he has gotten a second Easy 8 out, so he definitely is in the lead for tanks, and that would... Oh no, get that Rifleman squad out of there. What is he waiting for? There's the retreat, super late, takes a bit of a weird route, but I can't tell if that's going to get away. Retreating straight towards the Major, that's why, but he does get to safety. Easy 8 falling to about half, will continue to engage, and this Easy 8 is going to move up on the flank and prompt a full retreat by Arzuna right here. So there goes everything. The wounded Easy 8 moves up from the rear to take pot shots, but it looks like everything's going to get clear, and Simon's decision to go with Easy 8s, like I said, denies him access to HE shells. Means his anti-infantry firepower isn't what it could be, but it gives him a nice safety net for the late game here against the Panzer IV, which, oh, it comes with armor skirts. I forgot about that, so that's why it's a little more expensive, but
Get ready.
does not come with the top-mount machine gun.
Ready for action.
So comes with armor skirts, does hit the field. I don't know the numbers. I don't know if that means that it's actually a little more heavily armored than the vanilla Oster Panzer IV. Maybe somebody who knows a little bit more about stats could comment on that, but like I said, it will give Simon a bit more of a safety net against the Panzer IV, having Easy 8s instead of regular Shermans, because they have the better penetration, slightly more general purpose unit. So the Panzer IV will definitely need to be careful against the Easy 8s, which pose a significant threat to it. Easy 8's trying to poke, but it's a little bit outgunned right here. Yeah, Panzer IV doing quite nicely against the Easy 8, in this engagement anyway. Riflemen get a little overly aggressive right there. They have to retreat. Easy 8's also going to have to pull back for repairs. Simultaneous engagement in the middle here. Easy 8 thinking about maybe moving up on the flank with 2 Raketenwerfers and a Panzerschreck protecting. Ooh, nice hit by the Easy 8 right there. Oh, we might finally see an opportunity against the Flak half-track. He just made a bit of a weird maneuver there chasing the Obers. He couldn't decide what he wanted to kill. No, just commit to the Obers. It's too late for the Flak half-track. And it looks like they're both going to get away. He was indecisive. I think he probably could have fully killed those Obers if he had gotten lucky. But either way, he chases everything out of the south and should be able to get this territory back under his control with various units he has in the area. He's got an AT gun here as well. Booby trap going down on the north VP while Arzuna has a bit of an opportunity, and he should probably think about capturing this point. For 20 minutes now, Simon has had that thing harassed. Easy 8 doing a little bit of poking in the base, but the Panzer IV shows up to scare it off. And nobody's going to fully commit to that engagement. Easy 8 pulling back to safety. The AT gun in the middle is not able to get away from these long-range infantry and gets cleared. Riflemen retreating, and the AT gun is going to pull back to safety. After a little bit of light poking, the Easy 8s have to pull back away from that Raketenwerfer. And the Panzer IV, fully repaired, moves up to also help in the engagement. The US AT gun is available to protect, but it's wounded and caught out of position while moving across the road and gets sniped. Sniped right there. That could be the AT gun destroyed. Yes, Raketenwerfer picks it up. Riflemen moving up to try and scare off this push with their flamethrowers. And that Flak half-track still alive with 17 kills. Going to try and scare off these riflemen a little bit right here, doing heavy damage. The Easy 8's trying to scare off these Volksgrenadiers, but falling a little bit low. A squad of riflemen gets wiped. This Easy 8 still being repaired, not looking great for Simon right here. There go those Volksgrenadiers. They are pushed off the battlefield. Easy 8 going in a little prematurely, though. That Vet 2 Raketenwerfer plus Panzer IV pop smoke. But it's not enough. It's not enough, and the Easy 8 is destroyed right there. These slow and steady pickups by Arzuna are pulling him into the lead significantly. And although Simon had a bit of a glimmer of hope earlier in this game, I'm not sure he's gonna be able to turn the situation around, especially if he cannot get back control of his cutoff. Hack howitzer has been fielded to try and give him a long-range indirect fire solution to all of his opponent's infantry. But the loss of his AT gun leaves him very vulnerable to this, especially since his own tank... Oh no, ambulance just got sniped. Especially since his own tank is so low and not proving very effective against the Panzer IV without sufficient support. So Arzuna will advance very aggressively right up to Simon's base. A light harassment attempt heading for the north. He has to think very carefully about how to spend his manpower, whereas Arzuna has 800 in the bank plus 100 fuel. At 73 pop cap, he's probably thinking he'd like to go for King Tiger next. He could draw out some more Volksgrenadiers. Could maybe get an extra squad of Jaegers or something, but his infantry corps is looking quite healthy. Booby trap. Ooh, was that a booby trap in the north? Booby trap in the north, and the riflemen being sent to harass are wiped. And these wipe after wipe here for Simon, plus these aggressive booby traps. I'm not sure it's even possible for him to recover this game unless he makes a miracle happen with this double Easy 8 combo. This will be his last opportunity to have an actual armor advantage against his opponent and pick up wipes against priority targets like the flak half-track. Like even the Kuba wagon is still alive and a problem for his infantry to deal with. Not a single Overcommando West light vehicle destroyed this game, and that is a big part of why Simon has not been able to come back.
Points are down to 300.
Panzer IV falls dangerously low right there. If only the EZ8 had been better positioned or making an aggressive flank for another direction, that might have been the opportunity Simon needed, especially since there are no shoe mines anywhere as far as I can tell. All the munitions being spent on booby traps means that those tanks are free to execute deep, dangerous flanks.
Armor ready.
Of course, Simon doesn't know that. He probably doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks, but without risky, high-risk, high-reward play, it's probably impossible for him to come back into this game with just safe, conservative play. Major might explode. Okay. He probably knew there was a booby trap there, and that's why he chose to cap with his Major, since it's not a big deal if his Major loses a few models or gets wiped. Rifleman moving to continue harassing in the north, this time without exploding. Getting a little bit of clock control back, and after he restores the cutoff, we'll be in a slightly better situation, but the last several minutes have been costly and painful. Finally, he somehow convinces his opponent to back off, reinforce, heal, and get ready for his next big push. Panzer IV also getting repaired here in the base, and the front line is brought back here towards the center VP, where Simon will get back control of some territory in the south, and also his harassment north will pull some of Arzuna's units up into this area to try and get some of this territory back, but counter harassment is on its way. If Arzuna doesn't fully commit to a push in the north, we might see Simon picking up a few squads, maybe pick up the Kuba wagon finally. I think he hears the EZ8s coming and is going to get that Kuba to safety though. And those Jaeger lights, after spotting the EZ8s, are going to pull back a little bit too. Rakettenwerfer for support is on its way to try and defend against a big commitment by Simon for maybe the munitions point, or maybe a push against the tier 4 structure. And the Panzer IV is on its way to defend here as well, while light harassment goes for the cutoff again. EZ8 moves to counter. Pack Howitzer also, gets a huge hit right there. So that squad is forced to an instant retreat. And some riflemen move south into cover to defend the VP, and the clock somehow will continue ticking in Simon's favor. And although he has fallen a little bit behind, the victory point situation is dead even. Pop cap situation, not so much. Simon behind by 25. Needs to execute very well. Needs to engage flawlessly, or his opponent will probably snowball completely out of his control. Frangible right there. Nice reaction by Simon. He skirts it nicely. Doesn't take any serious damage. Flamethrower burst on those Obers, but it's not gonna do anything. Oh, there was a crit. Crits are less likely, but clearly still possible. But no wipe. These two squads walk right into an EZ8 though.
A capture point is under attack. Rifle squad ready for action. Enemy forces have
Jaeger light
capture
infantry
point is
taking
being
control of
overrun.
the VP.
The Germans just cut off our supply lines.
EZ8 just taking shots through the hedges, just trying to find ways to engage that don't cost him anything. It's not really working though, and these riflemen providing vision are getting lasered down hard. Rakettenwerfer moves up to punish that EZ8 and gets a couple shots off, but the Pack Howitzer almost wipes it. And there is a Panther on the field, so I completely called this all wrong. I thought he was going King Tiger, but Panzer IV into Panther was the strategy. Obersoldaten are pushed away here in the south. These riflemen are going to be forced to retreat. These two tanks look like they're going for a decisive engagement, and the EZ8 looks like it will be destroyed right here. He was not expecting this aggressive push into his base with a Panther. Gets abandoned and consequently destroyed. The infantry here in the base may not be able to survive this push. The Pack Howitzer also gets wiped. And this EZ8 is on its way back towards the base to maybe try and help, but it's outgunned and outnumbered now. No AT gun on the field right now. The flak half-track is still up and available to defend against these pushing riflemen. And the tanks are going to move to re-engage back in the U.S. base. Riflemen could get wiped right here. Nothing's shooting at them though, so I don't know, maybe not. AT grenade hits the rear and penetrates, but because the Panther's at full health, there will not be any engine damage. The EZ-8 continues to dance and try and get away from the Panther. EZ-8 gets a lucky shot, has not actually taken any damage yet. Panzer IV pops blitz to try and catch up, and these tanks will split to head off that EZ-8's escape route. The Major will probably get wiped right here by the top-mount machine gun, and down it goes. The Panzer IV is available in the EZ-8's retreat path, although it squeaks by. Continues trying to pull off some kind of miracle. There's engine damage on the Panzer IV. EZ-8 still in excellent condition, and shot after shot is bouncing. We might see the Panzer IV destroyed right here. No, the riflemen don't want to stick around for another AT grenade, but the Panther is falling dangerously low. These riflemen are moving up to try and pull off some kind of miracle. Is this really happening right now? Arzuna, not comfortable with this engagement, is starting to pull back to safety. Rifle grenade, luckily for him, will bounce right there, and it looks like that Panzer IV is going to get away, but that cheeky little EZ-8 somehow manages to defend the U.S. base and force two stronger Axis tanks to pull back for repairs after an interesting chase. The Kettenwerfer nails it with one shot at range, and it will be forced to pull back for repairs itself, and a lot of U.S. infantry has been reinforced for the next engagement, but they can't do much against these vetted and upgunned Obersoldaten, supported by Jaeger light infantry. There is now a Jackson on the field though, so EZ-8 supported by Jackson. Maybe Simon will be able to make something work. He's about to see maybe an opportunity against a flak half-track here in the north. He needs to retreat that squad, but if he were to go in hard with these two units, maybe he could burst it down before Arzuna has a chance to react. Jaeger light infantry doing heavy damage to these riflemen. Oh, they're gonna get wiped if he doesn't react. There he goes, late retreat. But he will escape. More riflemen moving up to support. Here comes the Jackson, and this is way out of position. He has to pop smoke, and even then, I'm not sure he's going to get this to safety. Jackson gets one shot. Nice maneuver right there. Very nice juke. Here it comes. Oh, and it misses, but I'm still not sure that's going to get away. Here comes the Panther to try and execute a rescue and a block. Jackson is now caught out of position. It switches targets to the Panther. The EZ-8 will move up on the Panther's rear. Oh, it's not destroyed yet. Jackson switches targets again. There goes the flak half-track. Kettenwerfer is too late to set up and fire on the EZ-8, and the Panther goes down. Is this happening? Is Simon really going to make some kind of comeback here? I can't believe it. Panther and flak half-track both destroyed by some really fancy maneuvers. The Jackson and EZ-8 will both get to safety. A lot of infantry still needs to be reinforced and healed, though. If he's gonna have any chance of coming back in this game, the pack howitzer here in the middle is going to be destroyed by the Kettenwerfer, which is Vet 4. EZ-8 on its way to maybe clear that gun.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
There they go. Two squads working on territory here in the south. Arzuna's territory situation does look excellent right now. But the loss of a Panther means, I mean, territory doesn't count for that much if 175 fuel of yours just went down the drain. So Simon has bought himself a lot of time to think about how maybe he can come back. But honestly, manpower is more than territory a serious problem. We're looking at 82 to 47 pop cap right now, and Arzuna has 900 manpower banks to replace any losses. He could lose his oh, that shot right there. Ouch. He could lose his entire core of Volksgrenadiers and Kettenwerfers and be able to replace it with ease, which is probably why Simon is focusing so heavily on taking out armored targets. Kettenwerfer is set up nicely for this push. Nice attempt by Simon to pick up the Panzer IV right there, but it's not going to happen. The Jackson couldn't get enough shots off, and the Panzer IV pulls back to safety with half health remaining, and the Kettenwerfer means Simon cannot chase. Vetted riflemen being fielded to try and help Simon.
Squad, get ready.
Riflemen working on the south.
down and be ready
probably
to
not
move.
be able to win an engagement against superior numbers. Simon is outnumbered at every location. Wow, that burst of damage. Nice. I wish I had seen that full engagement occur. But Raketenwerfers managed to volley from the north and flanking infantry from the west take it out from full health to 0. In the south, flamethrowers and grenades, I think, are sufficient to convince these two squads to retreat, and Simon will get a little bit of territory back under his control. But the loss of his Jackson is expensive, and he will no longer have that tool at his disposal to take on the Vet 3 Panzer IV and the 2nd Panzer IV that is in production. And this Vet 2 EZ8 is doing excellent work this game, though. Surprisingly, it's only got 4 kills, which just goes to show that maybe a standard HE Shell Sherman would probably do a lot of good work for Simon here if he had some sort of tool to wipe those retreating squads instead of just scare them off. I think that would go a long way. But unfortunately, Jacksons and EZ8s do not give him any form of mobile wipe potential. Elite Rifleman continue to be fielded. He has made his way back up to 5 squads somehow. Down to 33 pod cap though. Well, probably more like 40 once this is screwed. Ooh, these hits from the Panzer IV are starting to really hurt. Raketenwerfers are set up for this EZ8's push, and it falls dangerously low. If that second Raketenwerfer had been in position, that could have gone down. In fact, it comes dangerously close right here. The Panzer IV is not giving up the chase. I wonder if this could be the game. 2 shots miss, and he will pull back. I think he could have probably fully committed to that, but didn't want to risk his Vet 4 Panzer IV, and understandably so. There is no rush for him to take back control of this game, as he is in an extremely strong lead. That might have been an error on those riflemen. I don't know if they're being monitored. They just walked right into the second P4. I wasn't expecting that to be up there. That could be a wipe. There they go. Wipe after wipe. Simon is purchasing himself another AT gun. Frankly, I think it's too late. I'm pretty sure this squad's going to get wipes too. Overextended behind enemy lines. There are Jaegers and Obers in the retreat path, and there is no hope of them getting back to base safely. Leaving Simon now with an EZ8 3 rifleman and an AT gun and not much of anything else. These riflemen might get wipes too. Some of these miracle hits by the Panzer IV are just annihilating what little infantry Simon has remaining. AT grenade does connect, and they will retreat after inflicting this engine damage. But the EZ8 is going to go in on this Vet 4 Panzer IV and maybe find an opportunity against it. Grenade will not clear the Raketenwerfer though, and if it gets one more shot, that EZ8 will go down. EZ8 misses its shot against the Panzer IV, but that shot just bounced. Neither of these tanks will go down. It's just not happening. Oh, that shot hits the ground, and the Panzer IV has switched targets. There it is. They both destroy each other, and the engagement between these two medium tanks ends about as well as it could have, with both of them being destroyed. And Simon, I guess, satisfied with the moral victory of destroying that Panzer IV, but knowing that there is no chance of a comeback, will decide that that's enough, and he will concede. Our Zuna 86 takes the game after a 40-minute slugfest on Kolodny Farma. GG. Axis wins.